Well, one of the things I think, when we talk about self-awareness that we need to work on is projection.
Mm. Yeah, I'm projecting all the time.
Well, I'm
Great
glad.
at it.
Well, I'm glad you admit that. I
Yeah.
hope you're working on it
Yeah.
with your therapist. And we throw this word around, but what does projection really mean? And I'll help you guys out.
Yeah.
It's when we take something that's coming from the inside ourselves,
Yeah.
and we misinterpret it as coming from the outside. And we often do this when we lack self-awareness. And we are often surrounded by people who project their shit we often, you stop projecting your shit onto me.
Yeah.
That's your stuff. But people don't do this consciously. It's a very unconscious process. And people learn to project, or they project because as children, they were never allowed to share their negative thoughts or their negative feelings. So as young adults, as young old teenagers, and as adults, full-grown adults, they couch them in comments. And when they couch them, it's kind of like, wait a minute, what does that really mean? Is that really about me, or is it about really you? Where is the line between this is my issue or is it really your issue, and what are you saying to me? A very simple example of this, and it's happened to me, I'm sure you can relate to it, and everybody watching and listening can relate to this. You're out with a friend, and your friend turns around, looks at you and says, you look really hungry, you look really tired. And I'm like, no, I'm actually good, I'm not even tired. They cannot say, I'm really hungry, I need to eat, and I'm kind of tired, I'd like to sit down. But so what they do is they put it onto you without knowing it. They put it onto you, and then you're kind of left like, no, I didn't know I was giving that vibe out, because they can't they have not been allowed throughout their childhood to share and talk about what they need. They're hungry, they need food, so they've never felt safe saying that. They're tired, they need a break, they've never felt safe saying that. But it's easy to kind of project it onto you. It's a very simple version, but it happens often.
I could see that too.
Or you look angry.
I'm
not angry.
Or
maybe you're angry, you just can't say you're angry.
I could even see that too, where it's like, describing projection as something it is coming from within, but we're pretending that we sort of project that it's coming from outside, right? I could see that. I know that it's something that I've done before in the past and even present, where it's like I because maybe I have this dislike of myself, I have this negative skew, like I have this skew that I think other people dislike me as well. So like if I'm reading a text, like I'm reading it from the idea of like, you're not shit, like I'm upset with you, whatever, like you're in trouble, blank, blank, blank. So then, but that's really me, that's not them, but I'm pretending this, and then I'm already getting upset about it. Like I'm putting this idea onto their words, even though maybe they didn't say it.
And that's the issue, one of the issues with texting. Like if we have a conversation, maybe, and we're together, I can kind of see it in your body language, I see it in your tone. But if you're just going to send me those words based on my history, based on my blueprint, my emotional DNA, I'm going to take that a certain way. And maybe you didn't even mean it that way. And the story I share in my book about that is, and I use myself as an example because I want people to know that you can be fucked up, and that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. But if you get the right help, you can unfuck that shit. You don't have to live in that trauma. You don't have to live in that space for the rest of your life. You can get help if you want to get help, and you can get better. We're never totally going to get 100% better, but we are just going to progress and be a better version of ourselves. So all my daddy issues, and my dad always made me feel like it was never good enough. He's typical Indian father, brought home an A- or something, like, goes, well, why minus? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why didn't you get A+? So I grew up feeling like it was never good enough, whatever I did. And I remember being in grad school, and I remember writing my thesis, and it was really difficult for me because I was like, okay, I had imposter syndrome. Like, I can't believe I go to McGill. I can't believe I got into a graduate program. Oh my God, I'm going to be found out. So I remember, finishing my thesis. It was the first draft, and I walked into my supervisor's office, and he was amazing. So he was to me a father figure. I looked up to him so much, and we had a very good working relationship. And he knew about my issues. You work closely with somebody long enough, and he was a mentor to me. So I walked in, I remember putting it on the desk. I immediately start crying. And he's like, I haven't even looked at it. What's going on here, right? But all my stuff, like, oh my God, I was projecting all the feelings that I had about my dad and how I felt about myself onto him. He didn't do anything to me at all. He didn't even say a word. But I was projecting all that stuff onto him as if he were my father. I was experiencing him like he was my father. And I just became aware of it later on. Like, why is this such an issue? Why am I being so triggered by this experience? Yeah. And I just thought, oh, it's because I don't want to disappoint him. And it took me a while to realize, and I was working with, I had just, I think, started to work with Dr. Frank, that because I was experiencing him as my father. It's not my dad. And if I did not get help and I just went on with my life doing that with every male that kind of was representative of the father figure, there'll be some really fucked up relationships. And maybe not everyone would be as understanding as he was. He was completely understanding and helped me through that, and we worked collaboratively together, and that was in parallel to my own therapy. But if that hadn't happened, I was thinking maybe I'd still be doing that, putting all that onto somebody else, when it really just belongs to me, and I need to work on my own issues.
Hey, thanks for watching there, guy. Click right over here if you want to see that episode in its entirety, or you can click over here and subscribe to the channel, see all the other fun shit we do here. It's really up to you, guy.